All right, well, the timer was pretty much on point, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Monday. Thank you so much to everyone that is tuning in. Give me 1 second. Okay, I was hearing an echo on my end, so just wanted to make sure that that was not just fluke. So sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, for honestly, I just wanted to appreciate every single one of you guys. Happy Monday, you guys are what is going to make this show continue. Before we get in, we started into everything that's going on. Um, just wanted to say that this stream is being, or this stream slash show slash whatever you want to call it, podcast, whatever, is being multicasted not only to Rumble, but it's to YouTube, it's to X, it's to Twitch, it's to Kick, it's to basically all your favorite streaming platforms there. Um, I'm hoping to get onto TikTok. I wasn't able to get any more information on downloading the audio version to any of the other areas that you can get your podcast for the moment. I'm hoping to dive a little bit deeper um, at the in my little bit of a break um, after Friday, because after Friday is going to be Thanksgiving, and I won't be in the studio um, during um, during next week. So these next 5 episodes are just going to be what we'll cover for this week, and then let's see. I'm trying to think of what else I need to say to start. Um, I think that's it. Um, yeah, cause I got these 5 days this week, and then we got a certain thing on Saturday, and then I'll be out of the studio Monday of next week. But then the following week after Thanksgiving, and I'll kind of do a little bit of a, Thanksgiving, uh, I guess appreciation or whatever before Thanksgiving week, and then I'll still be doing a bunch of posts and stuff like that on all the socials and whatnot. I just won't be doing any lives until after this week. I won't be doing any lives until December, I think. So, um, as if I remember correctly in terms of the dates and stuff like that. Yes, so December. Just so after this week, after our show on the 21st, I won't have another show until the first um, of December. So, just so that you guys are aware, if I'm not live at all next week, you'll know why. I just won't be even in the studio at all. I'll still be doing all like the predictions and stuff like that in terms of like following along with like NBA and heading into Thanksgiving weekend and stuff like that in terms of the games and whatnot. So hopefully you guys can enjoy all of that still. I just won't be uh, doing any live show breakdowns or any hot takes or stuff like that until obviously December 1st. So um, yeah, there's that. And then once again, I really appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys like the content that I'm bringing you guys on a day to day basis from a Monday through Friday perspective, anyway, don't hesitate to head down into wherever you're watching, hit that follow button, and like the video that you're watching right now. If you're listening to the audio, obviously, continue to share this with people that you know, because this is going to be live Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is also 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once again, really appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. And if you guys aren't on Rumble already, that's kind of the main studio that I kind of bring everything kind of to light, if you will, and fix the descriptions and stuff like that. So head on over to Rumble. It's a one-stop shop for not only myself but a whole bunch of other commentators and streamers. So got a whole plethora of um, different wonderful and amazing people on Rumble. So, and you can kind of download the Rumble app on any of your devices, whether that be your phone, your tablet, your smart TV, just any of those devices that can download apps should be able to download Rumble. And yeah, that's it for those spiels. Before we get into all the stuff from this past weekend, I guess if you guys wouldn't mind joining me in a prayer real quick, we can kind of get this started, because it's been kind of a jam-packed weekend. So hopefully you guys are buckled up and have your popcorn ready, because this one's going to be a fun one today. So anyhow, let's get it going, shall we? Thank the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, thank you for bringing us to Monday. Thank you for giving us another day to be on this earth, to be a blessing to many and a hero to some. Really want to appreciate every single person who is watching this show and have given me feedback on how to I guess better entertain the audience, and really would like to ask that you bless and guide each and every single one of us as we go throughout this day and as we go throughout this week, and bless our time and our interactions with one another, and bless our travel as we're heading over to different places for the holidays and whatnot. Continue to bless and guide each and every single one of us as we go throughout today and through the week, as we pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Alrighty, with that being said, thank you so much once again for joining me in that. And as we kind of get into some of this today, I'm gonna try to break some of this down in terms of all the stuff that happened over the weekend. There was a lot of stuff that happened with UFC over the weekend. Mainly because of the main card, but there was also some stuff that happened in the main card, like just outside of just the main fights, even, that was kind of interesting to see. I mean, granted, you don't see it very often anymore, I don't think. This was just, I think, kind of like a one-off in terms of just with a one-off in terms of what happened kind of in the arena. It's been a while since I think that they've seen fights between different fighters just in the arena, like in the arena that isn't in the octagon. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where I think it's a little bit weird, but it's not unheard of. It's just a little bit weird that there's, just kind of fights in the arena that isn't within the, like, preset matchups, basically, if you will. I don't know if I'll be able to find the footage that I'm talking about, though. I could be wrong, but anyhow, what am I not? Let's see. But anyhow, outside of that, I mean, 322. I wasn't able to catch all the fights. I hope you guys were able to, because I mean, that was one of those ones that I kind of had wished I'd seen a lot more, because there were a lot of really good knockouts from what I saw from UFC's X page. Oh my gosh, like so much happened with those fights over the weekend, including like a bunch of different knockouts and stuff like that. It was crazy to see the clips that happened afterwards. It was nuts. But anyhow, um, obviously we had a game filled Sunday with a bunch of different games from football, obviously, and I do have to correct myself. I know you guys probably saw a clip of me making a prediction of this was being a must win for um, Miami over the weekend. With I think I said that it was Madrid in Germany, and I need to correct myself on that. It wasn't actually in Germany. It was in Spain. So that was a little bit of a correction and a is miss miss say on my part. So I did have to correct that because I kind of said that wrong and I didn't mean to. It was just I think I was so focused on the fact that I think a week before it was in Germany that when I was kind of breaking it down, I just had a little bit of a hiccup as I was doing that. So um, my apologies for anyone that believed me 100% at face value with what I said. Kind of misguided you a little bit, but um, I will try to do a little bit better in the future to make sure that I don't make those mistakes again. Um, I know I kind of just run through a bunch of stuff pretty quickly, and I will, either miss things or catch things and stuff like that. Which, actually, speaking of that game, we'll actually kind of break it down because it went into OT and was close. So, um, and uh, how do I want to put this? I mean, and just kind of speaking of that game in general, I mean, kind of like I said, this was a must win for the Dolphins. They found a way to not only get it into OT, but they found a way to win by a field goal in overtime. So, I mean, it's. I don't know if that makes it less of a situation of McDaniels being off the hot seat per se, but I think this gives him a little bit of a cushion in terms of. I mean, he found a way to win against the Commanders. Granted, is it like a good win or a bad win? I don't really know for sure. Just because the Commanders were without Jaden McDaniels. I might need something from McDonald's later. Anyhow, um, but anyways, the just the Commanders didn't have Jaden McDaniels, so that was I freaking said it again, didn't I? Gosh dang it. I am so all over the place this afternoon. My goodness. Um, but yeah, they didn't have Jane Daniels. They were. So it's really tough to say if this was, something that's going to take him. I don't think it takes him completely off the hot seat, but this definitely puts a little bit of a cushion in terms of whether or not next week is going to be a must win for them or not in terms of the Dolphins, because mainly their the rest of their schedule is kind of interesting because I mean they got the Saints and the Jets for the next couple of weeks. I don't want to say that it's must win in those games, but I feel like if they don't win in those games, it's going to be really really tough the rest of the way for the Dolphins here if they can't find a way to win against the Saints and the Jets in general. Because I just saw some news right before we started the show. Actually, not that it was breaking, but just when I saw it, it just happened to be like maybe I want to say 20 minutes before I started this. That the Jets ended up benching Justin Fields and have ended up going with Tyrod Taylor. So I think at this point the Jets are saying this season is a wraps for them at this point, and they're potentially starting to move on from Justin Fields. So, unfortunate situation for the Jets, but I mean, I would say that this has to be like you got to get in to New York and the Jets, and you got to find a way to get a win against them because they're kind of in a sense when you bench your starting quarterback, that's not a good look for your team come this point of the season. Like over halfway through, and you bench your starting quarterback, like you're not looking at potential playoff hopes at this point. You're just looking to be like, all right, this season's kind of a wraps at this point. We're looking on to next season, and we're gonna make sure that certain guys stay healthy the rest of the way. Even though they probably could still play Justin Fields, but I mean, to bring in a backup is not a good look. So, um, again, I'm like I was kind of saying earlier, though I still don't think it's a must win, but it's at least going to be a little bit more of a cushion these next couple of weeks with who they're playing against in terms of hey, you still need to win against these teams in order to not put yourself in a situation. You know what I mean? So um, again, I I still think Mike McDaniel's the head coach for the Dolphins is still in the hot seat. I just don't know um, how much this win from yesterday takes him off that hot seat. You know what I mean? Like it's just tough to really gauge it. You know what I mean? Because I'm also not really in the Dolphins. I guess inner circle, if you will. So I don't really know all the ins and outs of what is going on behind the scenes. Um, so it's gonna be really interesting to see in these next couple of days what's gonna happen within the Dolphins organization. Um, so who knows what will happen there? But I mean, obviously, after they have the Saints and the Jets, it's going to be kind of a rough last 4 games for them because they got some really good teams that they're going to face, a pretty decent team that they're going to face in the Bengals. But I mean, other than that, you got the Steelers who are pretty good. You got the Bucks and the Patriots who are just, you know, playing pretty much lights out. I mean, there was a big game against the Bucks and the Patriots. I want to say last week as well. So I mean, they're gonna finish out on a rough note, I believe. But because what if they end up winning against those teams and losing against those teams? I mean, you could probably look at yourselves being probably 2-4 or the rest of the way. So they end up with a 6-11 record, I think. But anyhow, let's. I'm not really. Yeah, I don't. I don't really think I'm gonna break down too much of this game, honestly, because, um, well, I mean, it was pretty close. So let's just kind of break it down a little bit. I mean, Washington ended up having the upper hand in how many first downs that they had. And third and fourth down efficiency, I think, was also in favor of the Commanders as well. Total plays in favor of the Commanders, time of possession in favor of the Commanders, and even turnovers were in favor of the Commanders. It just wow, they somehow that that is insane that it looked like oh my gosh. So even the total yards and the passing and rushing yards in terms of comparison between both teams were all in favor of the Commanders, but yet somehow the Dolphins ended up winning by 3 points in overtime. Like that is insane. Granted, I didn't see any highlights of this game, which is another reason why I've been kind of really hesitant to break this game down a little bit. But anyhow, it's that's interesting to have all of the the stat lines on paper be in your favor and you still end up losing the game by 3 points like that. I wonder if they didn't cash in. I wonder if they didn't cash in on the turnovers as much as they would have hoped, and that's probably what happened, at least from the turnover differential perspective, because I mean, obviously, if you're winning the turnover battle, you definitely have an advantage of some sort. It just seems odd, in my opinion, that's how this turned out. But all right. Um, but yeah. Anyhow, I guess kind of moving on to a different game that was also close, an interdivision matchup between the Vikings and the Bears. Let's see. This is. Oh, let's see. I want to say this was no, this was not, because the Vikings were 4-5 coming into this game. Bears were 6-3. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say that the Bears are firmly in the driver's seat right now, but they definitely, with beating the Vikings with beating the Vikings yesterday, it's gonna be a little bit easier in terms of head-to-head matchup, but also in terms of their record, or in terms of both of their records, it's going to be a lot tougher for the Vikings to try to find a way to make playoffs in terms of head-to-head against the Bears. So, the Caleb Williams versus J.J. McCarthy matchup. I mean, Caleb Williams went 16 of 32 for 193 yards, got sacked twice, did not throw a touchdown or an interception, though. Lot of field goals for the Bears, it looks like, because I think only one touchdown was scored. Yeah, that's crazy. And then you kind of look at J.J. McCarthy's stats. He was also 16 of 32, but only threw for 150 yards. He had a touchdown and threw 2 interceptions, which, yeah, when you throw 2 interceptions, that's not really a recipe for success there. Let's see. Jordan Mason ended up rushing for a touchdown on 6 carries for 45 yards, and Jordan Addison had 2 receptions for 20 yards and a touchdown as well. I mean, it was 16-3 going into the fourth, and I guess if I'm kind of looking at this correctly, it looks like 14 unanswered points for the Vikings, but ultimately those 3 points from a field goal for the Bears ended up keeping their, I guess, win. Was it a win streak? Or did they lose last week? Let me double check that real quick. Yep, they are on a 4-game winning streak right now, or 3-game winning streak right now. Excuse me. I almost said 4 because I thought that they just won, made that 4, but it's not. It's 3. Okay. Anyhow, but yeah. Once again, I do apologize. I didn't really see a ton of highlights coming out of this game before this. I've just been kind of working a lot, like a lot. So I'm just kind of taking all these stats kind of at face value here. Vikings fall to 4-6. Bears move up to 7-3. 19-17 is your final score in Minnesota. Yeah, that's just kind of unfortunate for the Vikings to lose at home like that. But I mean, you can't win them all, right? But yeah, Bears are kind of firmly in the driver's seat here in terms of playoff hopes, at least. Let me see. I'm trying to see what the playoff standings look like heading into Monday Night Football here. Chicago's looking like they're the 3 seed right now, being at 7-3. And I believe that also means they're gonna get home field in the wild card, I believe. So right now the Eagles are number one in the NFC. So they'll be getting the bye, and it looks like if the playoffs were to happen right now, it'd be the Rams hosting, who is number seven, which would be okay. So the Rams would be hosting the 49ers, and the Bears would be hosting the Green Bay Packers, and the Bucks would be hosting the Seahawks. That is if the playoffs were to happen today. Um, but obviously we're still finishing out week 11 tonight, which actually I did not grab the preview from tonight, did I? I am kind of a dumbass, but anyhow. Oh, that tastes so good. Um, let's see. What else was I gonna say about this? So, yeah, not gonna lie. That I wouldn't say. Well, no, I would say they're kind of in the driver's seat at this point because they're a game ahead of the team right behind them, which I think is the Packers, right? Packers and then Lions. Yeah, Packers and then Lions. So they're, excuse me, it would be a half. They're like a half a game ahead of the Packers right now. But even still, um, but for them to finish out the season here, oh, they got the Steelers and then the Eagles and then the Packers twice. So they still have to face the Packers twice and then the Lions one more time. And it looks like so the Bears did not get a complete sweep of the Vikings this season. They ended up splitting. Um, but let's see, if the Bears end up splitting against the Packers, it wouldn't look entirely great. Um, but they got some pretty key matchups coming up here. They got the Steelers and then the Eagles. Um, and then obviously the Packers twice. Then they got the Browns and the 49ers and then the Lions to finish out the season. It's not really in that particular order, unfortunately, because I think let's just do it this way. They got the Steelers next week, then the Eagles the following week, and then Packers, Browns, Packers, Niners, and then Lions to finish out the season. That way, for those of you guys on audio aren't getting confused about what I'm saying here. Let's see. So, if they finish out the season, you know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the Bears are going to beat the Steelers because I thought I saw something where the Steelers had lost Aaron Rodgers due to an injury earlier today. Or if not today, I thought I saw it like last night. Because I know I didn't really catch a lot of the games, unfortunately, but I have been trying to keep up to date through the socials of what's been going on with a lot of the teams. So I want to say the Bears are going to get a victory there against the Steelers, and then it's going to be a tough one against the Eagles, but I'm going to say they're going to fall to the Eagles there. Let's say they split the Packers here. So that'd be 2-2. They beat the Browns. That'd be 3-2. Gonna be a tough one against the Niners, but I say they get the win against the Niners. It'd be 4-2. They got the loss against the Lions earlier, so I'm predicting the win there. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5-2 to finish out. So that'd be a 12-5 record to finish out the season. I think that would probably also make it so that they get the 1 seed. I mean, the reason why I say it's tough going the rest of the way is because five out of their next 7 games are pretty tough matchups in my personal opinion. I mean, you could probably say 6 out of the 7 are pretty tough matchups. I mean, but the 49ers have been banged up for the majority of the season, so I mean, who knows what's going to happen there, but Um, it's it's gonna be interesting coming down the stretch and coming down to the wire because um, even though it may look like right now that they're firmly in the driver's seat, they just have a tough stretch of games coming throughout the rest of the season that it's gonna be if they lose a couple of key matchups, it might make or break depending on whether or not they even. I'm not gonna say whether or not they even make playoffs because I'm pretty sure by this point they're gonna make playoffs, but it's gonna be tough. Um, it's gonna be tough for them to beat the division winners if they can't find a way um, in two of their games against the Packers later this season. So, anyhow, 19-17 was your final score in Minnesota. And then moving on to one that I kind of follow a little bit more is Seattle against the Rams. Rams revealing their first game with the rivalry jerseys, which honestly look kind of clean. I'm not I'm not upset by the way that they made their jerseys look and some of their animated stuff on social over the weekend. Like that stuff's pretty clean. Um, but anyhow, oh geez, Darnold throwing for 4 interceptions. That's not a good look at all. No wonder we. What the heck? I mean, you got. Wait, we scored in every single quarter and yet lost by 2? What? Oh, what? Like how? How does a high-powered offense coming into this game? Did they only score? Wow. I think I thought I saw. They did score a ton of field goals. That's 3 right there. You turn those into touchdowns. I mean, oh my gosh. Anyhow, um, but yeah, as I was kind of saying a little bit earlier, Sam Darnold ended up going 29 of 44 for 279 yards, threw for 4 interceptions, which is not great, which turns his QBR down to about 32.1, it looks like. And then on the other side, you got Matt Stafford, who went 15 to 28 for 130 yards and threw for 2 touchdowns. So that's really your deal breaker right there in terms of what won and lost you the game was Stafford throwing 2 touchdowns and Sam Darnold throwing not 2 interceptions. He threw 4. Um, just an unfortunate week for Darnold. Um, it's I'm not gonna I'm not gonna speculate too much, and I'm not gonna overreact. I'm not gonna say that Seattle is completely out of it, obviously, but this is definitely not a good look. Um, I mean, obviously, Seattle is still in prime position to um, make playoffs at this point, including the Rams as well. Um, we were kind of already doing a little bit of a breakdown. They were, what did I say? I think they were like in fourth or fifth in the seeding, and we're gonna go to Tampa at this point. Yeah, okay. Um, and obviously the Rams are gonna be hosting the Niners if the postseason were to happen today. Um, but I would say that win in particular yesterday, I think, almost seals the deal, I think, in terms of because the Ram. Oh no, maybe not. Yeah, because the Seattle and Rams do face each other one more time before everything is said and done. So, in a sense, it's not the end. It's not the end of the world, and I don't think it's the end of the season at this point, because they still have to face the Rams one more time. They still have to face the 49ers one more time. But this is an interesting rest of the schedule for Seattle because I don't think what was I trying to get at? I don't. They got a fair mix of. I mean, half of the teams that they're facing for the rest of the season are good, and then they got another half of the teams that are like kind of mid to less than mediocre. Because they got the Titans next week, and I'm not gonna say this is a guaranteed win because you have to play out everything, and it's the NFL. You never really know what happens. But as long as Darnold and the offense still keep doing what they did in the previous weeks and kind of um, learn from this loss, should be a sound victory for them going into Tennessee. And then we got the Vikings, the Falcons, the Colts, the Rams, the Panthers, and then the 49ers to finish out. Um, so let's see. Um, oh, that's actually going to be a tough turnaround. A really tough turnaround because you got to play on the 14th and then you got to play the Rams like 4 days, like not even 3 days later, which is nuts. Um, but if anything, if I were to project the record for Seattle coming out of this, so they already lost to the Niners earlier. I think that's going to be a win there. That's going to be a win there. That's going to be a win there. Lost to the Colts. I would say win against the Falcons and the Titans. So I think the only you know what? I would say I'm just gonna throw a toss up random here. I would say probably lost to the Vikings. Yeah, so lost to the Vikings, lost to the well. But how could you say that they would lose? That they would win? They would lose the Vikings, but then beat the Rams. Because I feel like the way that the Vikings are playing at, the Rams are playing at a higher caliber level than the Vikings are at this point of the season. And I don't think you could really blame. It's. I don't know. It's really tough to say, but I think if some of my predictions are going to be correct coming into the rest of the season, I would say probably, because I know I have to throw in probably another loss or two somewhere in here, and I guess I would have to throw it against the Vikings because, I mean, I have a feeling they're going to soundly beat the Panthers, they're going to soundly beat the Falcons and the Titans. If we're going by the split method of division rival matchups, I think the next matchup against the Rams and the 49ers are going to be wins for Seattle. So that makes 3, 4, 5 and 2 to finish out. You got a 12-5 record for Seattle coming into the postseason, which is a pretty sound record. I'm not gonna lie there. And it's I don't really. Oh, what am I trying to say? Once again, in terms of strength of schedule, I don't think it's tough, but I don't think it's a walk in the park for them either. Because one slip up, they could very easily change the course of whether or not they win or lose in certain games, especially against teams that aren't entirely good, especially the Titans and the Panthers. I mean, the Falcons are kind of mid, so to speak, but I mean, they're not like terrible either. So, um, there are a bunch of teams the rest of the way where if you make a mistake, they will make you pay. So, I think Sam Darnold's going to play a lot better. Obviously, those 4 interceptions don't really help at all. Um, but 19-21 is the final score in LA, in SoFi Stadium in LA. Um, Seattle falls to 7-3. Los Angeles Rams move up to 8-2, and what look like could be in the driver's seat for the NFC West. Um, but all that could change on a dime. Because I mean, they still got the Bucks, they still got the Panthers, and then the Cardinals, and then Lions, and then Seattle, and then the Falcons, and then the Cardinals. So, in a sense, with by the way that the schedule looks like for the Rams, you could kind of say that this is kind of a they're in the driver's seat at this point, um, just because of who they're facing the rest of the way, um, and could potentially also end the season on a 12-5 record as well. I think, um, yeah, because especially if they don't split against the Cardinals, which I don't think they will. Um, really, I think the only thing that's going to separate um, that yeah, I think really the only thing that's going to separate right now is if the Rams end up splitting against the Cardinals instead of going a division sweep against the Cardinals, because um, yeah, because even though the Cardinals haven't been playing well, um, with what I was kind of discussing earlier with Seattle, if they end up doing how I've been kind of predicting, they would end up with a 12-5 record, and then if the Rams end up splitting, that would mean that the Rams end up being, if my math is correct with who I think they're going to win and lose against, excuse me, um well, no, because it would be a loss against the Bucks, loss against the Lions. Although, no, I think that, well, because it's Sunday night football. Well, I don't know. That doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of the type of matchup anyway. Um, I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh shoot. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think, yeah, because I mean, really, the only way that I see the Rams not staying in the driver's seat is if they end up somehow splitting against the Cardinals. Because if Seattle wins against the teams that I think they're gonna win against throughout the course of the rest of the season, I think Seattle's only gonna win like maybe two more games the rest of the way. And then you also got, oh, I mean, but for the Rams, I think potential losses could be, because obviously one's gonna possibly be against the Seahawks because they already won one. Um, but I mean, it could also end up being a sweep for the Rams there too. But um, I'm also thinking a loss against the Lions here. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm kind of predicting that it could be um, what's it called? Um, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess for the Rams the rest of the season, it could go one of two ways. It could end 12-5. It could end 11-6. It could end 13-4. Uh, but who knows? Um, rest of the season is kind of going to be what remains to be seen here. Um, and yeah, I think that's going to do it for that one. Uh, Broncos and the Chiefs. Also another interdivision matchup here. Um, and this season is not looking good for the Chiefs right now. in terms of their potential playoff hopes here. And I think Bo Nix might have actually made himself a little bit of well, maybe not. Oh, well, his QBR didn't really show, but definitely his yards did for sure. But anyhow, Patrick Mahomes ended up going 29 of 45 for 276 yards, threw a touchdown and an interception, got sacked 3 times. His QBR was 56.4. Bo Nix went 24 of 37 for 295 yards, did not throw a touchdown or a pick, but was sacked twice for 12 yards. QBR was at a 43.2. Um, let's see. Uh, do, 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 do. Uh, I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? I'm kind of thinking that I I want to say that Bo Nix might not entirely be jumping into the conversation, if you will, in terms of the MVP, but I want to say with them winning this game, this kind of has to say something in terms of how well Bo Nix has been playing this season for the Denver Broncos, right? Like, I mean, the Broncos to this point are 9-2. Chiefs are 5-5. Like, I want to refresh this because I want to see if that has changed at all. Oh my gosh, it did. Oh my gosh, it did. How did Josh Allen move up? What the heck? Like, how? Oh, because they won a close game against Tampa Bay. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, by close, I mean 12 points. So not as close, but still pretty, I mean, still close enough that, you know, if there was, still decent amount of time left on the clock, there would still be a chance for him, but obviously not. But I don't. Did they put Bo Nix in this at all? Or no? They still have. I don't like that. Their team has not been playing well. How does he even have a chance at this point? Their team is 5-5. Like, that makes zero sense to me. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I get it. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback and is definitely going to go into the Hall of Fame when everything is said and done here. But in terms of even a chance at MVP for this season, I don't even think that there should even be a chance for this guy. Because if anything, you should be like everybody should be looking at Bo Nix, Drake May, Daniel Jones, and possibly even Matt Stafford as well. Because Matt Stafford played a heck of a lot better than Sam Darnold did for Seattle yesterday, and it showed in the scoreboard. Like, what the heck are we even talking about here? Um, Jeez, I don't really know how else to break this down. I mean, Denver needed the win. They got the win on a last second field goal from their clutch kicker. Um, Obviously, at this point, it looks like the Denver Broncos are solely in the driver's seat for the AFC West, and it's kind of the Broncos AFC West to basically lose at this point. Um, Not to put any pressure on them per se, but I mean, at this point, they got the Chiefs and the Chargers one more time. That's the wrong one. Yeah, so they got the Chiefs and the Chargers one more time. But they also have the Raiders one more time as well. So, um, Yeah, so they got the Commanders, they got the Raiders, and then Packers, Jags, Chiefs, Chargers. So in terms of where they're sitting at right now, yes, they're definitely in driver's seat. They do have a couple of tough ones to finish out the season against the Chiefs and the Chargers, so I'm not going to say it's completely sealed. But this definitely puts them in a much better spot. Um, and they put the Chiefs in a position to basically, I think, almost miss, if not, unless the Chiefs somehow go on a 7-0 winning streak, which is quite the possibility. Um, they could have put, or they could potentially have put the Chiefs in a position to not have the Chiefs end up making the playoffs this season. Let's kind of look at their remaining schedule real quick, though. I mean, don't sleep on the Chiefs, obviously, but um, yeah, because they got the Colts and then the Cowboys and then Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. So, I mean, they still have all their division opponents one more time. They still have the Colts. I mean, which is another tough matchup. Cowboys, I wouldn't say entirely is a tough matchup, but I'm not going to say it's a guaranteed win either because Cowboys just have been inconsistent, so it's really tough to say. I think that's also Thanksgiving Day that game is being played as well, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So they have the Cowboys there, and then the Texans, which I would say kind of, I don't know. They've been starting. What is it? What is his name? Davis Mills or Ryan Mills or something like that at quarterback for the Texans. Um, and I don't know, just the way that the Texans have been playing this season. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? But I think the Chiefs are going to, you know, find a way to win that one. But this is going to be a tough 7 game stretch for the Chiefs in terms of having them try to win all of them, especially since they got the Colts and obviously all their division opponents one more time, except maybe the Raiders. Just because the Raiders right now are just not. They just haven't been playing well. They're 2-7, so um, I know I'm kind of looking at all these teams and kind of giving them like the benefit of the doubt in terms of in a sense vouching for them to win. But kind of as we were discussing, the Chiefs end up falling to 5-5. Denver moves up to 9-2, and I think my personal opinion, just because of where the Chiefs are going to be sitting at in terms of the rest of their schedule, and let's just take a look at the Chargers for shiz and giggles. Um, um, yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's tough for the Chiefs to win 7 in a row at this point. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. It's just gonna be tough. And wow, the Chargers even have all their up division opponents one more time at least. But they also have the Eagles, so they end up going Raiders, then Eagles, then Chiefs, then Cowboys, then Texans, and then they finish out the season with the Broncos. So let's see. If we're trying to look at this um, in terms of kind of face value here, I mean, Chargers have been an odd team to watch. Um, yeah, I really don't know because and really it's unfortunate that the Chargers and the Broncos face each other as this is the last week of the season. So it's really going to be, I mean, but at least between the Denver Broncos and the Chargers, it could come down to the very last game of the season in terms of who decides this. But with it being up 2 games right now to the Chargers, again, I think this is Denver's division to lose at this point just because they're 2 games ahead. of the next guy down in the standings here. So, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I feel like this is their division to lose at this point. So, um, anyhow, in terms of finishing out the, and yeah, I mean, in terms of close games, that's going to finish out kind of the breakdown from yesterday. I'm just kind of throwing stuff to the fire at this point because I didn't really. I unfortunately, I unfortunately was not able to see any highlights from yesterday at all, or just even see any of the games yesterday. So I'm just, kind of going off of, face value and stats and whatnot, and where people are sitting at, because I'm assuming that a lot of you guys that are watching have already seen all the highlights or had watched all the games and stuff like that. So, again, just kind of breaking down the stat line for you guys, and trying to do the best that I can here. We got a kind of a bad. I would say this is kind of not a great Monday Night Football game to kind of finish out Week 11. Where did I have my predictions at for this game? So I think the Cowboys are going to win. I'm still sticking with that pick here. 27-24. I think it might be even uglier than that, if I'm going to be honest with you. It might be less. So, I mean, it's probably going to be something of like a 21-19 type of score, maybe. Um, I mean, obviously tough to really say, but yeah, I don't really know who's entirely going to win this game. Both these teams have been very inconsistent to this point, especially the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, obviously the Raiders have been on more of a losing end of um, their type of season to this point, if you will. Um, so I'm not really going to be expecting too much out of the Raiders coming into this game. Who knows? They may end up finding, that spark that ends up, energizing the entire team, and, ends up making this the Raiders end up finally winning their third game of the season. But um, I don't know. I'm not really sure that this is one entirely to watch tonight. I mean, I'll advocate if it's close, but if it's not close at all, then yeah, it's who knows what's going to happen in that game, and I don't really think that there's a ton to see there. Um, but that kind of does it for the NFL from yesterday. In terms of close games that we kind of needed to go over, um, and actually, in terms of the scores, let me go to the scores quick. Did I have any of them that were close? Probably not. 13-16, 30-27 for the Panthers and Falcons. I was not. Ooh, maybe I was a little close with the Bears and the Vikings, I think. 19-17, so I was pretty close there. Well, 2 points and then seven. Well, hold up. Where is it? 2 points and then seven. Yeah, so I was right. Yeah, so 2 points and then seven, or nine, depending on how you want to look at it. Um, let's see, what other scores did I epically fail on? Let's see, Texans and Titans was a 16-13 final score. Man, the defenses were showing up this weekend. Okay, I guess I was kind of close there. 16-13. So I mean, I think a total of 4 points separation in that game. I haven't even looked to see what I did in terms of predictions here. So I'm 2-0 after the Madrid game. Panthers ended up being the Falcons. I had the Falcons winning, so that's a loss there. And I'm pretty sure the Titans and the Bears won, so that makes 4-1. Packers won, so that makes 5-1. And then let's see, Bills ended up being the Bucks. Not by the score that I was thinking of. They ended up actually scoring more points. Wow. So both of those offenses were playing at a much higher clip than I had anticipated. 44-32, the final there. And then Bengals and Steelers. Bengals scored way less than I had imagined they were going to. Oh, that's the Bengals quarterback. It's Joe Flacco. Dude, is Joe Burrow even going to come back for the Bengals this season? He's been out with turf toe for like weeks. For what I remember, anyway. Is Burrow even going to come back? Does anybody know? Like, that's kind of a genuine question here, right? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. The Jags ended up crushing the Chargers. Why are the Chargers so freaking consistent, dude? Oh my gosh. Like, this is a bad team that they lost to. How do you only score 6 points against a Jags? Oh my gosh. Like, how? How do you do that? Like, what are we talking about here? I don't. Oh my gosh. And then the Lions ended up only scoring 9 points against the Eagles, which I did not anticipate that at all. And in terms of the overall scoring, it was way down than from what I had anticipated. I was not anticipating both those defenses to play very well. All right, that kind of puts a damper there, doesn't it? Cool. I don't really have anything else from the NFL from yesterday. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't really know. Um, but yeah, that's kind of gonna be it for that for now. I'll get more in-depth results and kind of post them on the socials later tonight. As soon as Monday Night Football gets done. Um, yeah. Anyhow, getting into the NBA games from over the weekend, but mainly yesterday's games. I didn't really break down the final scores from last night and gave you guys a record of what happened on social. So I ended up predicting the underdog correct with the Brooklyn Nets against the Wizards, but a lot of these other ones I just didn't predict well at all. Because the Trailblazers ended up losing to the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Hawks ended up being the Suns, and then I think the Jazz ended up upsetting the Bulls at home in Utah. So, and then I think the Rockets ended up being the Magic at home as well. Yeah, if I'm remembering that correctly, yeah, because Celtics beat the Clippers. Yeah, Rockets beat the Magic. Mavericks ended up being the Blazers. Hawks ended up being the Suns, and then the Jazz ended up being the Bulls, which was crazy. It was crazy to see that final score. Like, I'm not gonna lie, with the way that the Bulls and actually though with the last few games of the Bulls not playing very well, I could have I should have foreseen that happening actually, because the Bulls just had not. Um, I mean, they started out pretty well. They've just have fallen short in their last what? They've lost five straight now, which is crazy to think about because they had started out the season 5-1, and to my thought process was going to be like firmly in the driver's seat. Well, I wouldn't say firmly in the driver's seat. It was still early, but I thought that they were still going to, find ways to continue to keep, their hot streak coming into the season going. But they've just been on a cold stretch entirely. But before we get more into depth on that game in particular, let's kind of go through the the lineup from yesterday in terms of what games were finishing out first. Boston Celtics in TD Garden ended up finishing um, against the Clippers. Let's see, and James Harden doing James Harden like stuff for the Clippers as he ended up being the top scorer for the Clippers. After where are the minutes? After 38 minutes, he ended up with 37 points, 7 boards, 8 assists, 1 steal, 9 of 22 from the field, 5 of 11 from behind the arc, and 14 of 15 from the charity stripe. So a really, really good night from James Harden as he almost dropped a 40 piece on the Celtics. As they ultimately ended up falling short, unfortunately, but um, still a very good night from James Harden. Also, a very good night from Ivica Zubac, who, after 34 minutes of play, ended up with a double double, ended up with 16 points, 12 boards, 2 assists. Um, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. 6 of 10 from the field and 4 of 4 for the charity stripe. So a good night from Zubac. And then also John Collins had himself a night as well. After 30 minutes, had 17 points, 2 boards, nothing from the rest of the stat line, but was 8 of 13 from the field and 1 of 4 from behind the arc. So maybe not a great night in terms of accuracy from behind the arc, but he found a way to score inside the arc. So um, very, very good night from Collins. And then a couple of key scorers coming off the bench for the Clippers as well. Bogdanovich had 11 points, 4 boards, 3 assists. Nothing from the defensive stat line, but best accuracy night was from the charity stripe, 2 of 2. And then also Kobe Sanders also had 11 points. He had 6 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc, and 1 of 1 from the charity stripe. So solid night from Kobe Sanders coming off the bench for the Clippers as well. Even though they ultimately ended up falling short. I mean, keys coming out of this game obviously ends up being the Celtics ended up having 2 guys that dropped over 30 points, or 30 points exactly, depending on how you want to look at it. Let's see, Jaylen Brown was the top scorer for the Celtics. After 39 minutes of play, had 33 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 14 of 33 from the field, 1 of 7 from behind the arc, and 4 of 7 from the charity stripe. So outside of a bad accuracy night from behind the arc, he still found ways to get to the cup, get to the rim, notch up a double-double. And yeah, it's just a big night from Jaylen Brown. Also, Peyton Pritchard had himself a night after 33 minutes of play, had 30 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Nothing from the defensive stat line, but in terms of accuracy, was 10 of 16 from the field, 8 of 13 from behind the arc, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So, outside of all that, he was still pretty solid from when he was on the floor last night um, for the Celtics. So um, yeah, and also Derek White ended up having himself a night as well. He almost notched up a double double. Same with Quetta, but uh, Derek White was one assist away from a double double. Quetta was one rebound away from a double double. Derek White ended up with 39 minutes, or excuse me, after 39 minutes of play, had 22 points, 7 boards, 9 assists, 2 blocks. Best accuracy was from the charity stripe at 4-4. Um, yeah, what a night from Derek White as well. My goodness. Um, dropping a 22 piece. Anyhow, I'm just going to kind of take a look at some of this other stuff real quick before I break down the rest of this. Sorry, just trying to check some of the chats real quick. And then top scorer coming off the bench for the Celtics ended up being Luka Garza, who after 14 minutes of play had 13 points, 4 boards, nothing for the rest of that stat line, but was 5 of 6 from the field and 2 of 2 from behind the arc, 1 of 1 from the charity stripe. So, big contributions from him coming off the bench. And I guess they kind of had to keep a lot of the starters in for most of the game because it was close. So that's probably why not a lot of players on the bench actually ended up getting a ton of minutes on the floor because the starters were just playing well, and almost all of them were in double figures outside of Jordan Walsh. So, 121-118, the final score in the TD Garden. Celtics move up to 7-7. Clippers fall to 4-9. Still early in the season for both of these teams, but I don't think there's really. I don't know. It's still early in the season. I'm not going to really speculate too much as to how much this is going to impact the rest of their season. But in terms of this week, I think starting out this week with a win for them is going to be a really good look for them. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well the Celtics play throughout the rest of this week and what their injury reports are going to look like. Because as far as I'm aware, they're going to be without Jason Tatum for the rest of this season, I think, with that Achilles. And then, what else was I going to say? Anyhow, that's just going to do it for that game. We're going to move on to the Rockets ended up winning at home against the Magic. Breakdown of the scores from both these teams here. All the starters from the Magic ended up in double figures. You have another couple of players from the Rockets that ended up. How do you only end up with 1 point? I'm sorry. What? Oh, you didn't really shoot a lot. It's Okogie. I mean, can we really blame the guy? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, and I guess you ended up playing Steven Adams and Reed Shepherd a little bit more than Okogie, didn't you? Okay, that probably makes sense. But anyhow, you got all the starters of the Magic ending up in double figures. Almost all the starters for the Rockets ended up in double figures outside of Okogie. But if we break down top scores from tonight, top scores from the Magic, Franz Wagner ended the night after 43 minutes of play with 29 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 8 of 21 for the field, 3 of 8 from behind the arc, and 10 of 13 for the charity stripe. So big night from Franz Wagner. Didn't really have an entire accuracy night, but still found ways to score. If 10 out of your 29 points is just from the charity stripe, you found ways to, try to go up big, even though you didn't really get a good accuracy night anywhere else. Kind of needed to find a way, right? So, and then also another top scorer for the Magic ended up being Desmond Bane, who I don't think I've really talked a lot about Desmond Bane for the Magic to start the season, or about the Magic in general. This one was kind of like the closest one in a while for the Magic that I think we've been talking about. He's been contributing, but I don't think he's been contributing enough in ways to where I've been talking about him as much. I don't think. Also, it looks like Paulo Banchero didn't play last night. He must have been injured or something. Anyhow, Desmond Bane, after 44 minutes of play, ended up with 26 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 9 of 20 from the field, 2 of 7 from behind the arc, and 6 of 6 from the charity stripe. So, solid night from Desmond Bane. In fact, I wouldn't say solid. I would say it's a big night from him, especially since we're talking about him right now. Not a lot of. I don't think he gets enough flowers. I don't think. But let's see. And then there wasn't really a top scorer coming off the bench for him, just because they had a bunch of. They mostly played their starters all the way through. Outside of it, looks like they might have rotated maybe a little bit. Excuse me. But you got, I want to say most of the guys that had some rest time was Wendell Carter Jr., Anthony Black, and Tristan Silva. But even Tristan Silva was at high minutes with 40 minutes there, so really tough to say how that all panned out. But I mean, it was close all the way through, so I mean, only 4 points separating both teams as the final score there. So, and it went into overtime. Oh, I didn't even. Wow, I'm totally lost on that part. Wow, I did not recognize that at all. Okay. But then also kind of looking into the Rockets, their top scorers, Kevin Durant ended the night after 45 minutes of play with 35 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, 1 block, 13 of 24 from the field, 2 of 8 from behind the arc, 7 of 7 from the charity stripe. So 35 piece for Kevin Durant. Probably the first time I've seen that from him in a long time. Well, I'm kind of exaggerating, I think. But anyhow, primetime Kevin Durant, I think, might have been a little bit back last night. So kind of needed it to be, especially when you get an overtime thriller in Houston. So, and then also Alperen Sengun also had a very good night himself. After 45 minutes of play, as well as Kevin Durant, he ended the night with 30 points, 12 boards, so knotted up a double-double, 8 assists, 2 blocks, 11 of 31 from the field. Did not make a three-point shot, but that's okay because he ended up going 8 of 10 from the charity stripe. So double-double night from Alperen Sengun, and I think that's going to I think for him, this is going to continue to be one of those seasons where he's probably going to notch up a bunch of double-doubles. If not, I would hedge my bets and say that he's probably going to notch up probably a triple-double here a couple different times throughout the rest of the season. Because, I mean, he's, as far as I'm aware, he's still pretty new to the game, right? Yeah, he's only 23, so he's maybe been in the league for like 3 seasons. This is 2021, so fourth fourth season. Oh, I'm not even reading. It says it right there. Like, what am I doing looking out of the bottom corner when it says it right in his bio? Anyhow, but yeah, still, I think some amazing things are coming for Alperen Sengun. It's gonna be crazy to see what happens when everything is said and done for him, because he's been playing well for the Rockets to this point, and just over the past few seasons in general. Um, I don't know, might be a little bit early, but we'll see. Um, and top top scorer coming off the bench for the Rockets ended up being Reed Shepherd. After 29 minutes of play, had 16 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 6 of 11 for the field, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So big contribution night from him. Um, let's see. If we kind of take a look here, this ended up going into overtime. Obviously, 4 points ended up separating both these teams here. Magic ended up falling to 7-7, which, if I'm kind of looking at this correctly, that ended a winning streak of about, I want to say, probably 2 games for them, if I remember correctly. And Houston is now moved up the winning streak to 4 as they move up to 9-3, 117 to 113 of the final score in Houston from the Toyota Center. And if I take a look at the standings right now, where are the Rockets? Because the Rockets and the Magic, I mean, they're still in solid positions to at least start the season. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Jazz later on too, but man, I'm kind of excited to see where the Jazz end up at the very end of the season, because they look to be in a lot better position than they did a season ago. So we'll see what happens there. Did the Brooklyn Nets really win their first game of this? What? Wait, hold up. Let me refresh this. Thank you. I was about to say, there's no way that was just their first. Yeah, all I have to do is refresh the page, dummy. Okay, anyhow, where was I? Ah, yes. It's going to be interesting to see. Yeah. Yeah, the Rockets are third in the Western Conference right now. Wait, how does that make sense? Oh, because they also have a loss as well. They played 2 more games than the Rockets to this point. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's going to do it for the Houston and Magic game. This one kind of surprised me a little bit in terms of the final score between the Blazers and the Mavericks. Obviously, both these teams have had rough stretches to start the season. I think especially since the Mavericks ended up firing their GM quite recently, which the whole situation with the Mavericks GM and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I don't think that happens if you don't trade away Luka Doncic for AD. Like, I didn't fully I mean, I was obviously the entire world was shocked about that trade. Obviously, the fallout hasn't been good for the Mavericks so far, especially with the fact that, you know, uh, it just seems like they've never actually have had either of those players play together as of yet, just because of injuries and stuff like that. So I mean, it, I don't know. It just doesn't really. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of looking too deep into this, but it's kind of way too early for me to really say that the Dallas Mavericks kind of lost that trade per se. Um, but I mean, obviously after the win, you would think that that they definitely won that trade. But I mean, you kind of look at who played from last night from the Mavericks, like. You still don't have Kyrie Irving that played, and you still don't have Anthony Davis that played. Like, they're both still out with whatever injuries that they have. Which, where are the where are the Mavericks? Let me scroll up real quick. Like, Anthony Davis, and I mean, there's no update on Kyrie Irving's injury apparently, and from yesterday, it looks like another 7 to 10 days that he will be reevaluated again. So it's like it's it, it's a really tough sell because you can't really trade him away anymore because nobody's gonna want him while they're still injured. So like what I don't know. I just never really understood it. I still don't kind of understand why they made that trade. Um, and I guess in this sense, it just kind of looks like right now that the Dallas Mavericks are on the very, very losing end because the Lakers, to this point of the season, that's not what I want to look at. I want to look at this. Like, you got the Mavericks, who are down at the bottom of the Western Conference right now, and you got the Lakers that are pretty close to the top right now. Like, very two different perspectives from both of these teams at this point of the season. Obviously, still early, but very, very, very solid difference between both of the teams after that trade. Like, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have the mojo or whatever, but in terms of what we've been seeing from Luka Doncic to start the season right now, a lot of people are already putting him in the MVP conversation along with Shea and um, a bunch of other different key star players to this point of the season. Obviously, still super early, but once we get into like the middle stages of the game and stuff, or excuse me, middle stages of the season and whatnot, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this kind of plays out because, um, you know, just as of right now, it's not looking great for the Dallas Mavericks to um, at least start. I mean, this is kind of a positive note for them at this point because they got the win at home in overtime against the Blazers, but also I wouldn't say it's too much of a win for them because I mean the Blazers have been kind of inconsistent to start out as well as we kind of look. I mean, obviously your usual suspects in terms of who we've been talking about a lot to start the season for the Blazers. Um, you got top scorer Shaden Sharp, who after 39 minutes of play had 36 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, 12 of 32 from the field, 3 of 9 from behind the arc, and 9 of 11 from the charity stripe. So big night from Shaden. And then a guy we've been talking a lot from the Blazers as well, Denny Avdija, who after 39 minutes of play had 29 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 10 of 20 from the field, 2 of 7 from behind the arc, 7 of 7 from the charity stripe. So solid night from Avdija as well. And then let's see. And then Jeremy Grant also had a night of his own. After 39 minutes of play, had 26 points, 5 boards, 2 assists. Did not have a very big night in terms of accuracy from either the arc or from either behind the arc or from the field in general. Um, but made up for it with his free throw percentage, as he went 8 of 10 from the charity stripe. So, um, solid night from Jeremy Grant. Didn't really. The rest of the Trailblazers also ended up in double figures as well in terms of the starters. Not really much from their bench, though. Obviously, because it was closer and it went into overtime, you're not really expecting your bench to kind of cash in for you. You're wanting your starters to be in and try to get you to win the game, especially on the road. But the Mavericks ended up having all of their starters getting double figures as well. Top two scorers ended up being the rookie Cooper Flag and PJ Washington. Both had 21 points. Cooper Flag, after 37 minutes of play, had 21 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 9 of 16 from the field, 2 of 3 from the charity stripe, 1 of 3 from behind the arc. So a solid night from Cooper Flag. Also, PJ Washington also had 21 points, but after 38 minutes, the rest of his stat line was 7 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 5, or excuse me, where was I? 7 of 16 from the field, 5 of 7 from behind the arc, 2 of 4 from the charity stripe. So a solid night from Washington as well. Obviously, the rest of those guys in double figures. Daniel Gafford had himself a night as well as he dropped up 20 Ps. Klay Thompson, coming off the bench, was the top scorer, who, after 26 minutes of play, ended the night with 19 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 block, 7 of 16 for the field, 5 of 11 from behind the arc. So, I don't know. It just hasn't really been too much of a at least last night wasn't really much of an accuracy night from Klay Thompson. But Mavericks end up getting the win in OT, 138-133 the final score. Dallas Mavericks move up to 4-10. Blazers fall to 6-7. This may or may not have changed the way that I'm going to probably do my top 5 come tomorrow. Do I do that tomorrow or do I do that on Wednesday? I think I do that tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do top 5, bottom 5s tomorrow. But who knows? Dallas might have moved themselves out of the bottom 5 this past weekend. We'll see. But yeah, it's just, that's not what you want to see, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyhow, 5 points ended up separating both these teams after last night's game. So, and I'm kind of running out of time here. Let's see. So we got our next game that was also close, that ended up finishing out in terms of a separation of 2 points. I was incorrect in terms of this prediction because I thought the Suns were going to find a way in Grayson Allen and Devin Booker for the most part, but it looks like who was the top scorer coming out of this game? Okongwu? Dang. All right. Jalen Johnson ended up with a double-double, 25 points and 10 boards. Okay. Dyson Daniels ended up with a double-double as well with 11 points and 12 assists. That's crazy. All the starters for the Atlanta Hawks ended up in double figures. Dillon Brooks with a 34-piece. What the heck is that all about? Where did that come from? What the heck? What the heck? Dillon Brooks, what, where is this all season, dude? Like, to too worried about getting into each other's into other players' heads. You're not worried about how many points you can get, are you? Like, jeez. Anyhow, him and Devin Booker had themselves a night. I mean, Dylan Brooks ended up with after 36 minutes of play with 34 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, 3 steals, 14 of 25 from the field, 3 of 7 from behind the arc. So not really a big night in terms of accuracy from behind the arc, but end up going 3 of 3 from the charity stripe as well. So found ways to contribute. And then also Devin Booker also contributed as well. He had 27 points, 2 boards, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 10 of 23 from the field. Did not make a shot from 3, but was 7 of 7 from the charity stripe, so that kind of made up for some of his 3-point shots, but not entirely. Oh my. But yeah, I think that's really all I kind of want to cover from this game. I kind of broke down the double doubles and whatnot. But yeah, 124, 122, the final in Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix. Phoenix ended up falling to 8-6 last night. Hawks are now 9-5. And honestly, I think that was the first win that I've seen them have. No. Maybe I'm wrong. That was either the first or the second win that I've seen with the Hawks not having Trae Young in their lineup, I think. And it looks like they're not going to reevaluate him for another at least 10 days, I think. So, unfortunate for the Hawks. Let's see. Yeah, that might have actually been like the first or second win that I've seen them get without Trae Young. It's like, no Trae Young, no problem, I guess, for the Hawks. Like, geez. Oh, I saw that. Wait, was it that one just then that... There was a play where... I think in this game in particular, where one of the Hawks players ends up doing a... Was it this one right here? Bro, play it. Okay, never mind. Frick you. Stupid highlight on the right corner. Anyhow, what was I gonna do? But like one of these plays, and I want to say it was this one, but he goes in for the jam, and then as he's like releasing, he does like a weird like backflip and lands on his back. I think. I wanna say it might be on my feed somewhere. I thought I saw it. Yeah, kind of deserved. Anyhow, I don't remember exactly who it was in terms of the player that, like did that basically backflip after dunking, but anyhow, we're kind of moving on to another game that I wasn't expecting. I mean, upset Central in this one. Well, I would say upset Central, but I kind of probably should have seen this coming because the Bulls are now they've now lost 5 straight after starting out the season 5-1, as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. But you got a couple of guys for the Bulls that ended up having double doubles, and it's kind of crazy to see that not all the starters ended up in double figures, but you still have contributions from key guys in the Bulls, but I mean, it's just it's really tough to say what actually went wrong. You know what? And kind of looking down at the rest of the rest of the stat line for the Jazz, it freaking filled up because you got Keontae George and Laurie Markkinen who had themselves a night in double overtime against the Bulls. Like, my goodness. Like, Laurie Markkinen ended the night after 46 minutes of play with 47 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 15 of 33 from the field, 6 of 17 from behind the arc, and 11 of 13 from the charity stripe. So Markkinen almost having himself a 50-piece last night. Insane. And then also Keontae George as well had himself a night with, after 44 minutes of play, had 33 points, 2 boards, 6 assists, 4 steals, 10 to 27 from the field, 3 of 10 from behind the arc, and 10 to 10 from the charity stripe. So, like, Keontae George and Markkinen, have yourself a night. And Markkinen, if you don't make the All-Star lineup, like, I don't know what people are watching at this point because, my goodness, like, I mean, granted, stats can only say so much, but with the way that he's been playing so far this season, like, get yourself an all-star. Like, oh my gosh. Anyhow, because that's close to his 50. That's pretty close to his 51 piece that he had a few games back. I think it was a 51 piece. I'm pretty sure. But anyhow, let's see. Frick, what else? What? Am I tripping, or is there something more? I mean, obviously you got 2 guys in double figures coming off the, or 3 guys in double figures coming off the bench, but 2 of them had 16 points. Trying to think of what else. I mean, Kobe White also had himself a night. That was in his first game back as a Chicago Bull, I think. Because I think Kobe White had been injured for a while, I think. Or maybe it was somebody else that I'm thinking of. But anyhow, yeah. Once again, I probably should have seen this coming. This one also ended in a double overtime, actually, not just one. It took 2 overtimes to decide this game. 150 to 147, the final score in Utah. Jazz move up to 5-8. Bulls fall to 6-6. And yeah, the Jazz ended up outscoring. Yeah, they ended up outscoring the Bulls in the second half. I believe that's 57-66 was the score differential in the second half for both teams. Yeah, that's just nuts. Anyhow, with the time that we have left, I'm going to just kind of try to do another quick breakdown in terms of predictions for coming into tonight here. You got one game that's being aired on Peacock that's going to be tipping off at 4 o'clock along with a couple other games as well. You got Milwaukee going into Cleveland. You got the Pacers going into Detroit, and the Clippers going into Philadelphia and playing against the 76ers. In all of these games, I think in order for the Milwaukee Bucks to how do I want to how do I want to put this? In order for the Bucks to win tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Anyhow, let me start this over. So, Milwaukee's going into Cleveland. Giannis if Giannis has a historic night for the Bucks, it's going that's going to be probably what's key to their victory against Cleveland in Cleveland. I don't think there's going to be anything different to really sway what's going to happen here. Um, I mean, I could be completely wrong. There could be way too many. I mean, Darius Garland is out, but other than that, that's really not much. Tyson's out with a concussion. Max Strus is not wearing the boot. This was back in September, so we probably already discussed this at some point. Um, so yeah, so there's why am I here? Um, let's see, where. Oh, I didn't even update this, did I? Oh my gosh, he is the top point getter. What? In terms of average, that's insane. That's insane. But that's also good for him too. My goodness. Anyhow, let's see what are the Bucks injuries right now. Um, Giannis is on day-to-day probable for tonight against the Cavs. So if Giannis doesn't play, obviously I think this is going to be a sound victory for Cleveland. If Giannis does play, I think it's going to have to be a historic night for Giannis in order for the Milwaukee Bucks to end up winning this game in Cleveland. I don't really think there's any other ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just, Milwaukee has to feed off of Giannis Antetokounmpo's energy. Otherwise, Milwaukee typically just kind of falls flat on its face, sort of. So this has to be a huge night for Giannis, obviously. But either way, I still think Cleveland's going to find a way to win this matchup tonight. Getting into the next game that's also tipping off at the same time as the one that I was mentioning before. You got the Pacers going into Detroit, and all signs right now with how hot Detroit has been playing and with how cold the Pacers have been playing to this point, all signs are saying Detroit Pistons are winning this game tonight pretty soundly. As if you guys are just kind of on a side note, if you guys have been seeing my predictions going over the weekend, I had a couple of perfect predictions over the weekend, and I'm hoping that I can find another day where I get another perfect predictions, and I think that's gonna, I think today's gonna be it because of the way that I've kind of been doing this. I think I've been kind of following this enough to where I'm like, okay, this is kind of outside of the way that the Bulls have been playing and outside of the way that the Jazz have been playing, because the Jazz kind of started out a little bit rough, but have been playing good as of late, and then the Bulls were playing good as of early, but then kind of fallen a little bit short as of late. So who knows what's going to happen with both those teams moving forward here. But anyhow, that doesn't let's not take away from the fact that I think Detroit is going to soundly win against the Pacers here. Just the Pacers have not been having a very good turnaround at all in terms of where they were at a season ago when they were trying to basically win the NBA Finals at this point. It's just, I mean, not at this particular moment at this point last year, but they were I would be willing to bet you that they were definitely at a better record at this point in the season last year, but they just have not been having the pieces or finding the right way to put themselves in a position to win a ton of games to this point, because I mean the Pacers, as far as I last checked, I think they've only won one game this season, and they've played 13 in total so far, and tonight's going to be 14. So it's gonna be a rough stretch for the Pacers, obviously, and it's I mean I as much as I liked the Pacers, in the playoffs last year, this has been a rough turnaround for them. So, and I think that's gonna continue into tonight in terms of how well they're gonna play. Um, and then also Clippers going into the Sixers. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's been playing well. You got VJ Edgecombe, who's playing well. I think the Sixers are going to win this game tonight, especially at home. I'd be very surprised if the Clippers find a way. If anything, it's probably going to be because James Harden has himself a night, kind of like he did last night, which, if I remember correctly, I mean, we just kind of already went over some of the stat line from last night with the Clippers, but I think he dropped like a 40 something or a 30 something. I think it was like 37 or something like that. Anyhow, but I think James Harden is still going to try to find a way to keep the Clippers in this game by having another historic night for himself as well, but we'll see. But I'm predicting the Sixers to win this game. And then you got also the Knicks and the Miami Heat. That's tipping off a half an hour later from the first window of games that tip off. Knicks have been how do I want to say this? So let's see. So as long as all the Knicks starters play tonight, in terms of you got Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and I think it's Mitchell Robinson. As long as all those guys are in, playing healthy, nobody gets anything tweaked or anything like that. I think you got the Knicks soundly winning this game. I'm not trying to say that because I'm downplaying the Heat at all, but last I checked, Bam Adebayo is still out with an injury. Same with Tyler Hero, it looks like, and it looks like Hero's not going to be out or not going to be back in for another week. It looks like, excuse me. Whereas Bam Adebayo might be back in their next game, not tonight, but in their next game in like 2 days. But we'll see. I'm not counting out the Miami Heat by any means, but all signs right now with who they have injured for the Heat right now and who the Knicks don't have injured, which if I look at this correctly, OG Anunoby is out and Jalen Brunson is out, so those are two key guys that are out tonight. It looks like OG Anunoby is going to be out for a couple of weeks, it looks like, which is unfortunate, but anyhow, even still, I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to find a way to have himself a night in Miami. I'm just going to say right now, I think the Knicks are just going to, they're not going to win this game by a ton. I just think that they're going to find a way to win because they have a lot more health and wealth in the starting department, at least for the Knicks anyway. But again, I could be completely wrong about this, but again, I think the Knicks are going to win this. And then next game also tipping off at 4:30. You got the Hornets going into Toronto. Just kind of how do I put this? Just kind of going off of face value with what I've been seeing from both these teams from the start of the season, if I'm kind of remembering this correctly. Just the Hornets have not been playing as well as the Raptors have. So as far as my knowledge goes, I would say all roads are leading to the Raptors winning this game tonight. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's where my predictions are at right now with that one. I think the Raptors are going to win that game, and then the second to last window of games that are tipping off at 5. You got Dallas going into Minnesota. For me, in terms of what made or break this decision in terms of who I'm predicting is winning is solely based off of whether or not I think Cooper Flag's going to have himself a historic night in Minnesota or not. Because if anything, as far as I'm aware, Anthony Edwards is still in for the Timberwolves, I believe. Yeah, so Anthony Edwards is back, so that's going to be a key factor into the. So he's going to be a key factor into the Timberwolves' potential victory tonight, as I'm kind of predicting this. But I think Cooper Flag needs to have a historic night. I think PJ Washington also needs to do the same. But I mean, also they're coming off of a very, I would say, a very heavy minute play from both of those players last night. So maybe they get a little bit more rest tonight. We'll potentially see how that plays out. But again, I would hedge my bets and say that we would need to see like a historic night from at least a couple of different guys from the Mavericks in order for them to win against Minnesota, just because Mavericks just haven't been finding a way in the early going here, outside of last night against the Blazers and like a couple other I wouldn't say one-offs, but yeah, it's just been hard for Dallas to find a victory there. And I think that's going to continue tonight against the Timberwolves because, as I was kind of saying earlier, Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert have been pretty stout for the Timberwolves. So we'll see what happens there. And then, obviously, also tipping off at 5, you got the Thunder going into New Orleans. Sad to say, I don't think this one's going to be much of a game to watch. Pelicans have not been playing well. Thunder have been completely lights out coming into this season, as they're the first team to 13 wins. I think they're the first team to 13 wins. It's just been a dominant start to the season for the Thunder. They only have one loss to this point, and I think that's going to continue. Yeah, I got the Thunder winning tonight. And then, last but not least, you got the final game tipping off in Denver. You got the Nuggets hosting the Chicago Bulls. That tips off at 6 o'clock PST, 9 o'clock EST. So, yeah, I think the Nuggets are going to win that game. Because as far as I'm aware, without looking at the injury and the predictions and stuff, or in the matchup predictor and stuff like that, I would say, and I would even say with that, I think they're still, dang, Christian Braun out with an ankle injury. So I mean, they still have Jamal Murray, they still have Aaron Gordon. Even if Jokic doesn't play tonight, Jokic is probable for tonight's game against the Bulls. Johnson's out, questionable with a bicep injury, and then Strother is questionable with lower back pain. So, I mean, I still have the Nuggets winning this one just because the Chicago Bulls have just been on a cold stretch these past few games. Like, it hasn't looked good for them at all, unfortunately. And with that, I know I kind of have been all over the place today, so I don't really know if I've even I don't even know if I had one interesting thing to say this entire time, but I don't know. I really do appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. I do have to jet out of here today. I mean, we're kind of at that point anyway where I need to kind of call it anyway. So, once again, really do appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. Before I send you guys off, I'll do a little bit of a spiel afterwards. But if you guys wouldn't mind praying with me real quick before we go, that would be greatly appreciated. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, thank you again for another wonderful day. I'd like to ask that you bless and guide us as we go throughout today and throughout the rest of this week. I'd like to thank you for each and every single person that is watching and enjoying this and giving me feedback. Really appreciate every single one of them. I'd like to ask for the intercession of the Virgin Mary to help guide each and every single one of us as we go throughout the rest of this week, as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Once again, thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for tuning in. Once again, this is a multicast that's being streamed basically anywhere that you can see streams, whether that be Rumble, whether that be X, whether that be Twitch, Kick, all those other stuff like that. If you're liking what you're seeing, and you have any tips that you want to send my way, don't hesitate to DM me wherever you guys are at, and just send me any tips that you guys have for me. But also don't hesitate to go down and hit that follow button so you don't miss another live. And once again, I won't be live next week at all because I won't be in the studio. But I will be after this week. I will be live. I will be live again starting December 1st. So there's a little bit of that going on there. What else do I need to say? I should probably. I really need to cut this off. But anyhow, last thing that I will say. Last thing I will say, if there aren't any chats, which there aren't any, it looks like. I just want to say that I really appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. I know I was kind of all over the place today. I was kind of trying to catch up on everything that happened over the weekend and whatnot. So I hope that I was still giving you guys good content. I know I kind of fell a little bit on some of the stuff that I wanted to discuss today and kind of rushed a lot of the stuff that I wanted to discuss today. But anyhow, really appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. I'm going to cut this off. So really appreciate all you guys for watching. I will see you guys all again tomorrow. I got to bounce, so see you guys later.